Jet Ace for the jet age we live in. It took fuel injection to make the jet engine possible. And now fuel injection opens a new age of automotive performance. Chevrolet's Jet Ace, Chevrolet's new and exclusive ramjet fuel injection. What is fuel injection? What does it do? How does it work? What are its advantages? What will fuel injection on the engine of your car mean to you in performance, economy, and all-around driving satisfaction? For part of the answer, let's go back to the early days of aviation and the even earlier days of the automobile, when there was only one basic type of gasoline engine. This simple engine was made possible by the invention of the carburetor to mix the fuel and air. Fuel fed to this nozzle is regulated by a valve. Air moving through this passage picks up the fuel and carries it into the engine cylinder. A throttle valve controls the amount of the mixture reaching the engine. Over half a century of brilliant engineering has gone into refinements and features to help the basic carburetor do a better job of delivering air and fuel to the engine. Today's carburetor is a triumph of engineering research and development with outstanding performance and economy. Even so, as more and more power and response have been packed into every cubic inch of the most modern engines, it has become more and more vital to control the fuel-air ratio to match the exact requirements of every driving condition and speed. Aircraft designers with a similar need for fuel control to get maximum performance and efficiency during takeoff, cruising, and landing solved the problem by adding another man to the crew. The flight engineer, with his gauges, valves, and switches, controls the fuel-air ratio to match every changing power requirement throughout the flight. And then came the jet engine, writing a new history of power plant development in the skies. The most powerful, and at the same time the simplest jet engine, is the type called the ramjet. It resembles a piece of pipe, open at both ends. Air entering at the forward end mixes with burning fuel. The hot, expanding gases rush out the tail end of the pipe to create a tremendous driving force. For several reasons, it was not considered possible for a jet engine to make use of a carburetor-type fuel system. Even the largest carburetor would slow down the flow of air into the engine. Even the finest carburetor would not provide accurate enough control of fuel for all conditions. And finally, no carburetor could work properly against the pressures built up in the jet-type engine. On the other hand, fuel at high pressure can be sprayed directly into the engine. This system, called direct fuel injection, is used in all jet engines, whether they be the ramjet used in missiles, the turbojet engine used in most fighter aircraft, or the turboprop engine designed for the airliners of tomorrow. The fuel injection principle has been applied to the piston-type engine also. For many years, it has been successfully used in heavy-duty engines where brute force is a major requirement. Fuel injection has many advantages in economical operation during long, steady pulls. Fuel injection also helps the fastest racing cars set new records for sustained top speeds. But as the owner and driver of a passenger car, you want far more than brute force or sustained top speed. You want the instant engine response, the flexibility, the smoothness, and overall economy that are possible only with perfect control of your engine's fuel supply. One way to match these requirements would be to have a special set of instruments and controls on the instrument panel. Then, of course, you'd have to add a man to the crew of your car, a flight engineer, to read the instruments and handle the controls. For instant starting, even in severe weather, your engineer pumps in extra fuel for each cylinder and sets the controls for a slight increase in idling speed during warm-up. With your foot on the accelerator, you tell your engineer what you want. Of course, you, the driver, are in charge. For takeoff or a sudden burst of passing power, he gives you the right amount of extra fuel in a hurry. For cruising at steady speed, he regulates the flow for smoothest engine running and economy. Whenever you are using your engine for a break, the economy-minded fuel engineer shuts off the fuel completely. This gives you quieter engine operation and it cuts down on fumes that cause smog. Of course, when you're ready for power, it'll be there, because the engineer starts the flow again as soon as the engine approaches idling speed. With an accurate airflow indicator, the engineer knows exactly how much air the engine is using at any given instant. To regulate the fuel accordingly, he uses a precise fuel flow control. Why not connect the airflow indicator directly to the fuel flow control? We'd have an automatic system that would do the engineer's job a lot more efficiently. Automatic, precise control of fuel flow is the basic principle of Chevrolet's perfected fuel injection system. To illustrate, let's look at this diagram with the fuel meter section enlarged for the sake of clarity. An air meter measures the flow of air at the intake entrance. With every change in flow, a diaphragm expands or contracts accordingly. Movement of the diaphragm changes the adjustment of a very precise fuel control to send the required amount of fuel to the engine. And here is Chevrolet's ramjet fuel injection, a dynamic engineering advance made possible today by the basic design superiorities of Chevrolet's turbofire V8 engine. This compact, perfected mechanism reacts instantly and automatically to the fuel requirements of your engine, responds with speed and precision. It is supplied with fuel by the regular engine fuel pump. This is the fuel metering system. It delivers an accurately controlled flow of fuel from a special high-pressure pump to 8 separate fuel injection nozzles, one for each engine cylinder. On the other side of the engine, air flows straight from the air cleaner into the air meter and then branches out to a separate passage or ram pipe for each engine cylinder. The manifold is designed to produce a true ramjet effect because intake air is always in motion even when the inlet valve is closed. This builds up pressure to ram more air and fuel past the valve when it opens. The fuel nozzles, with no moving parts to get out of order, inject the fuel into the air stream as it enters the cylinder head intake port. Every design feature has been engineered to make the most of the basic and overall advantages of Chevrolet's turbofire engine characteristics. Ramjet fuel injection now gives you total command of the power and efficiency that are packed into this advanced V8 engine. Because fuel injection sends the right amount of fuel and the right amount of air into your engine for every condition, you'll get the quickest, surest starting you've ever seen. Your engine has all the air it needs, and you get the smoothest and quickest warm-up. Because fuel injection shuts down the flow when your engine doesn't need fuel, you get a new kind of quiet glide and even more economy. Whatever your driving interests may be, Chevrolet's turbofire engine with new ramjet fuel injection offers you more. Because Chevrolet's fuel injection actually rams air and fuel into your engine when you need power, you get more response than you've ever felt, more of a safe feeling of command. Because ramjet fuel injection makes the most efficient engine even more efficient, you get greater overall fuel economy throughout every driving range. Like the captain of an airliner, you know that you are using every drop of fuel to the best advantage. Like the pilot of a jet, you know that absolute top performance will be there when you want it. As the driver of a new Chevrolet with turbofire V8 engine plus ramjet fuel injection responsive to your lightest touch, more than ever, you'll be in charge.